One of the most confusing topic inside JavaScript is this keyword. Many people, when they try to learn this keyword, they pull their hairs. It is so confusing. And you know what? If you will go and try to study it from the MDN documentation, here is this MDN documentation. If you will try to study, try to read this paragraph, right? Pause the video and try to read this. You will pull your hairs. It is very confusing. So many jargons, so many keywords, right? So when you have to try to learn this, you will have to know how actually this works in different scenarios. The problem with this keyword is that it behaves very differently when it is in different circumstances. Suppose if you write this keyword inside a function, it will behave differently. If it is inside a global space, it will work differently. If it is inside an arrow function, it will work differently. If it is inside a nested function, it will work differently. So there are so many cases that every developer is confused whenever they are trying to use this keyword in their projects or even in interviews. A lot of interviewers ask you these confusing questions and will, right, and then you will be confused how to answer them. But in this video, I will build your basic foundations, right, of this keyword. I will explain everything that you should know before you go to an interview. And it will also help you in your day-to-day coding. Okay, so let us just start. And by the end of this video, you will also understand what is written over here. Right now, trust me, you will not understand everything what is written over here. But by the end of the video, you will understand each and every line of this 2 paragraphs which explains this over here. Okay, so now let us just start. So first of all, let me explain you what all things I will cover in this video. In this video, I will cover all these concepts. Basically, how this behaves differently in different circumstances. So these are different circumstances and I will cover each of them one by one. I will take a lot of coding examples, but I request you that please don't take this video lightly. It is a very important video. If you will watch this video, you will not have to go to any other video to learn about this. Everything I will cover in this video, and this video can be a very crucial video for your understanding of JavaScript. So please stay with me and check out all the code examples. I would request you to maybe get a notebook and a pen with you. Take down notes along with me because this is very, very, very important. Let us start with the first thing. We will see how this keyword now behaves in a global space. A lot of you might not know what is a global space. So let me tell you, if you will write something over here generally, right? If you will write this is the global space. Whatever you write over here, suppose if I write var a, so this a is inside a global space. And suppose if you write something inside a function, okay? So suppose if I write something inside a function, let me call this as x. Okay, whatever I will write over here, this is inside a functional scope, right? Functional space, function space. And whatever is there outside on the top level, that is a global space. So let us just see first of all how this behaves inside the global space. Then we will see how this behaves inside this function. Cool. So now, if you talk about global space, what is the value of this at this point of time? Let me just log and show it to you. Okay. If I do a console log this, what do you think will be printed? I don't know if you know or not, but let me just save and refresh this page. So this is window object. Now, what is this window object? This window object, and why the value of this is window object? Let me tell you that this keyword in global space will always have the value of global object. Understand, listen to me very carefully, right? Global object. So this keyword in global space represent the global object. Now what is this global object? So see, JavaScript not just runs on the browser. JavaScript can run on your smartwatch. JavaScript can run inside wherever JavaScript can run, right? JavaScript can run inside your mobile phone. JavaScript can run inside your browser. JavaScript runs inside Node.js. JavaScript run inside smart bulbs, so many places, and everywhere wherever JavaScript runs, there is a JavaScript runtime environment. Okay, that can be different. Inside inside this browser, inside this browser, this global object is different. Inside Node.js, global object is different. Inside some other place wherever JavaScript is running, global object can be different. Got it? First of all, you should understand this. And whatever that global object is, this will represent that. The value of this keyword will be global object. Now, in case of browsers, a lot of students, lot of developers don't understand this, but let me tell you, in case of browsers, this global object is window. That is why you see window written over here, this window object. Okay, this is inside browser. But if you will go inside Node.js, so the value of this global object will be global. Okay, the value will be global. So, and wherever, see, every JavaScript runtime can have different value of this. So similarly, the global space, right? When I say global space, if you will write something like this, console.log this, it will return you window or whatever the global object is. So if your interviewer asks you, what is the value of this inside global space? So you should answer, it is global object. That can be different. It can be window, it can be global, it can be something else. Depends upon where you are running that piece of code, where you are running this JavaScript. Got it? So this is how it is. Now let us just see what happens if you write this keyword inside a function. Okay. So if we have a console log of this inside this function, what will be the value of this? Let me save it. And let me call this function also. Okay, unless we call this function, how will we get to know? If I save this, see this, another window. So again, the value of this over here is also window. Is it correct? What is the difference? Is it same? Outside global space, it was window. Inside a function, it is again window. Is it same? No, my dear friends, it is not same. It is different. So inside a function, now one more tricky part is, take down as a note in your notebook that this keyword works differently in strict mode and non-strict mode. Whenever you will run JavaScript like this is a non-strict mode. So let us try to run inside a strict mode. Okay. So how do you convert it into a strict mode? See, if you will try to know what is, now you might be having doubts like what is strict mode and what is non-strict mode in JavaScript. It deserves a different, altogether a different separate video, because that's a big concept in itself. But understand that strict mode has some stricter rules for JavaScript. Okay, so by using something like this, use strict on the top of your file, you can go inside a strict mode. Now, if you will use the strict mode and let me save it, so you will see that this keyword behaves differently. See, the value of this is undefined now. And if it is not a strict mode, then the value of this is window. Do you see the difference? So take down as a note, if you are inside a function, right? This keyword inside a function, it depends on the value, right? What is this keyword? The value depends on strict, non-strict mode. Okay, the value depends on strict and non-strict mode. So the value will be window. The value will be window if it is non-strict mode. If it is strict mode, then the value will be undefined. Now, why does this happen? Now you must be thinking, Akshay, what is this? What random thing is this, right? JavaScript, this is the reason why most of the developers hate JavaScript. Because it behaves very differently. But let me tell you, my dear friends, before you hate that, just try to understand what is happening, why it is happening, and all those stuff, right? So why this behaves differently in this case is something known as this substitution. There is a phenomena, note it down in your notebook again. There is something known as this substitution. Okay, this substitution. Note this down, this substitution. So suppose according to this substitution, if the value of this is undefined or null. Okay, so suppose the value of this anytime is undefined or null. So what will happen, right? If the value of this keyword, let me write down keyword also. If the value of this keyword is undefined or null, so what will happen? This will be replaced with global object. Got it? So if the value anytime, right, in wherever the code you are writing, anytime the value of this keyword is undefined or null, then what it will do is JavaScript will replace this keyword. JavaScript will replace this keyword will be replaced with global object. Now only in non-strict mode. Okay, only in non-strict mode. So make it as a note, right? Write this down in your notebook. So let me repeat everything once again because this is confusing. So you understood that inside a function, the value depends on strict and non-strict mode. But inside the non-strict mode, right, if you will have this, see, now, I know this can be confusing. Let me repeat it once again. If the interviewer asks you, what is the value of this keyword inside a function? What you will say? You should say that the value of this keyword inside a function is undefined. Undefined. But because JavaScript has something known as this substitution, right? This substitution. So the value becomes equal to global object if you will not use strict mode, right? If I will not use strict mode, the value becomes window object. I know this will be confusing, but take it down as a note. This is a small nuance, but you should understand what is happening. Okay, this inside non-strict mode. Got it? So inside non-strict mode, if you are inside non-strict mode, then what happens is this substitution. Hope you would have understood this portion, right? If you did not, please watch the video once again. I have explained it properly. Okay, now again, right? So the value of this keyword, right? The value of this keyword depends on how it is called, how the function is called. Got it? Now the value of this keyword also depends on how this function is called. Okay, suppose, right, I am calling the function as x, right? I am calling it like this, isn't it? I am calling this function as normal, right? X and this parenthesis. The value is window object in case of non-strict mode. Let us go to strict mode. Okay, let us now all the examples that whatever we will see everything inside strict mode. Got it? So if you will see x like this, if you will execute this x function like this, so the value is undefined. But what if I execute is something like this, window.x. So if I will execute it like this, then the value becomes window, right? So now I know this is very confusing, but keep taking down notes. Now, things will become easy. I will tell you why this is working the way it is working. Remember this point. This keyword value depends on how this is called, how the function is called. If the function is called without any reference, then the value is undefined. Got it? When you call it without any reference of an object, then it becomes undefined. But if you will call it like this, window.x, then it is the calling object, this window object. It is the same window object. Hope you understood this. Okay, so I have explained you 4 points right now. Let me repeat everything, all these 4 points. First of all, in global space, global object, the value is global object. It can be different in browsers, it can be different in Node.js. Second point, if you are writing it inside a function, it will behave differently in strict and non-strict mode. Okay, now what will happen? Inside the function, the value of this keyword is undefined. The original value is undefined. But if you will use it without a non-strict mode, then the value will become window or the global object. So this is a very important point. You know, a lot of times interviewers will confuse you by asking such questions. That is why I am telling you all this. Remember this, okay? Strict and non-strict mode are different in JavaScript. Let's move to the strict mode. Now, if you are in strict mode, then the value of this inside this function is undefined. Okay? Now, the value of this keyword also depends on how the function is called. Right? So, if you will read from the MDN documentation also, let me bring this up, right? So, in most of the cases, the value of this is determined by how the function is called during runtime, right? Runtime binding. Okay? How this function is called. So, if you will call the function like this, then the value will be undefined. Okay? But if you will call like this, it will be window. Right? And I am talking about strict mode now. In non-strict mode, this substitution will happen. Got it? So this was the revision of 4 points. Now let us move on to the next point. Now, you know, this was the tricky part. Now comes the a little more easier part. Okay? Easier part. Calm down, right? If you understood this much, then you have covered 50% of the video. Trust me. Right? So now let us move to other part. Now this keyword can be called inside objects method. Now it will behave a little differently. If suppose we have an object, let's call it as obj. Suppose it has some properties. Let me call that as a is equals to 10 or something. I'm just writing random values over here. And suppose if there is a method. Now what is the difference between a function and a method? See, if you will make a function as a part of an object, then it is known as method. Lot of JavaScript developers don't know. Do you know it or not? Write down in comments. What is the difference between a function and a method? When you will write a function over here, right? Let me, if suppose I write x over here, and if this is a function, right? If this x is a function over here, right? So this function x is known as method now, right? This is a method. This is a x is a now in the lingo, right? Why I'm telling you all this? Because, you know, sometimes it does not matter whether you call it as function or method. It is a function at the end of the day. But you know, sometimes you will get confused when you hear the word method. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. When you are inside an object, if you create a function inside an object, this function x is known as method now. So x is the method of an object obj. Got it? X is the method of an object obj. Now, what happens inside this x function? Suppose if I try to do a console log of this, what will be the value of this? Inside this x method, what will be the value of this? Now, again, as I said, the value of this also depends on how this function is called. Always remember, this is a very important statement, how this function is called. Okay. Now, if I call this function like this, obj.x. Okay. If I call this function as obj.x, let me just run it. See this, the value becomes this object. So whenever you are inside the method, the value of this keyword is the object where this method is present. Understood? The value, let me repeat it once again. If this is an object, what is the value of this keyword inside this method? It is this object. Okay? Obj.x is this object. And inside the method, right? Inside this method x, suppose if I do this dot a, right? This dot a. So this will reference to object and this dot a will reference to this property a. Okay, so if I will do this dot a log, if I save this, so it will print 10. Why did it print 10? Because this dot a, this over here is this object. So this dot a means object dot a. Got it? So this is how the value over here is present. Got it? So the value of this is this object, this obj. Hope you would have understood this. Now let's move on to another topic. Whenever you talk about this keyword, there are three important topics which you should know, three important functions that you should know. One is call, one is apply, one is bind. One is call, one is apply, one is bind. Very important topics. Very famous interview questions also. Interview questions. Interviewer can ask you what is the difference between call, apply and bind. I have made a separate video of call, apply and bind on my channel. You can watch that for a deeper dive in. For now, I will explain a little bit of call, apply, bind in this video. Okay. Now, this call, apply and bind is used when you have to share methods, right? When I'll tell you what is the meaning of sharing method. Suppose if this object has this method x. Suppose if there is one more object, let me call that as obj2. Now if you want to share this method, right? And let me call this as a is equals to, it also has a property a, and let me call this as 20. Okay. Now if you want to share this function x with this object, then there is a way you can do it. You can do it using call, apply and bind, right? See, this function does not have this method. So okay, I will take a better example so that you understand it. Okay, suppose this object is a student object and the student has a name. Okay, let me call this name as Akshay. Okay, this name of the object is Akshay. Now if you will call object dot x and let me call this function as print name. I will give you real life example live over here. If you have this function print name and you do student dot print name, okay, student dot print name, what will be printed? What will be printed over here? Student dot print name. What will be printed? This object, right? This keyword is student and name over here, right? So this object got printed, and if I try to print this dot name, what will be printed? Akshay will be printed. Got it? But suppose if there is one more student, let's call that as student 2, right? And the student 2 has name of Deepika. Okay, suppose if the name of this student 2 is Deepika. Now what will happen is, and suppose I want to share this method print name with this, right? I want to share this method print name with this object. Now how can I do this? Can I do student dot student 2 dot print name? Can I do this? Can I reference student 2 dot print name? No, I cannot. It will throw an error because this print name is not here, right? Print name is not a part of student 2. How can I share that same method? How can I reuse this method? So there is one way I can do that. That is by sharing, by overriding the value of this keyword. Okay, I know this can be little confusing. Listen to me very carefully. Let me repeat it once again. I have this object student. I have another object student 2. Student has a function, a method, right? And I want to reuse this method for this student 2. How will I do that? Let me tell you. What I will do now is I will call student.printName because that method exists, right? This method printName is on student, right? And now what I will do is I will try to not call it like this, but what I will do, I will do a dot call. Okay, I will do a dot call. So basically dot call, and now this dot call will take the value of this keyword. inside it, right? What should be this point 2? So suppose if I send student 2 over here, suppose if I write student 2 over here, what will happen? Inside this print name method, the value of this will become this, whatever you pass in here. So basically, inside this function, I am trying to override the value of this, right? Over here, the value of this was this student object, right? This dot name was printed. Over here, Akshay was printed. But suppose if I want to reuse this method for student 2, so I can just call the same method but with a different value of this. Now, value of this is student 2. Okay, the value of this becomes student 2 like this. And if you will save it, see, Deepika got printed. Akshay was printed here, Deepika got printed here, right? So the value of this can be modified using call, apply and bind method. All these three methods are used to set the value of this inside it, right? This was a small example. Please, I will mention inside description the link of video of call, apply and bind. Find out the difference between all three of them, right? It is very, very important for your interviews. Learn about call, apply, bind and how you can override the value of this. Okay, so I am just covering call inside this call method inside this video, but please watch that because understanding of this is not complete if you don't understand call, apply and bind method. Okay, I am just telling you call, learn, apply and bind is your homework. Okay, now go to the video, learn about call, apply and bind and go in the comment and tell me, Akshay, I went to your video call, apply and bind and I have understood. Please comment down. I know that whenever I say in the video, go watch that video, you will not do it. But I am requesting you, I am folding my hands, I am joining my hands and requesting you. Please, 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 dear friends, go watch that video. It is very, very important for your understanding. And after you watch that video, come over here and also tell me in the comments, Akshay, I have watched that video. I will give you a like, right? If I have read that comment. I read the comments, right? Please, please go and watch that video, please, right? Because that is when you will understand this keyword properly and how call, apply method, bind method works. Very important topics. Okay, so this is what a short explanation of this keyword over here. Now let us move to another case. How does this keyword behaves inside arrow functions? Right? So we have arrow functions. How does this keyword behaves inside arrow functions? So you know what? Arrow function does not have their own this, right? Arrow functions do not have their own this. They take the value of their lexical, right? A lexical environment where they are enclosed. Okay, let me repeat it once again. It can be confusing. You know why I am telling you all this confusing documentation? Because this is what you will find in your documentation. Okay, see, arrow function don't provide their own this binding. Arrow functions don't have a concept of this basically, right? It's like they don't have a this binding associated to it. But the value of this keyword is the value of enclosing lexical content. What does this mean, right? The value of enclosing lexical context, right? This is a very tricky three words, right? Enclosing lexical context, right? So I will tell you what it is. Suppose, okay, let's take another example. Let's suppose there is an object, okay? I will try to give you basic example so that you understand it properly. And you can explain the same way to your interviewer also. Perfectly fine, okay? Suppose if there is a method. Now this method is, when it was a function, right? It was a function, you know what the value of this will be, right? Now you already know, right? If I will do this over here, what will happen, right? If I do obj.x, you already know what the output will be. Okay, so you know that the output would be obj object, right? a10 and x is function. So basically this objects get printed, right? The value of this is obj, right? The value of this is obj. But if instead of a function, suppose this was an arrow function, right? This is the arrow function, right? Suppose if this is an arrow function, what will be the value of this? Now, the value of this over here will not be this object, but it will be its enclosing lexical context, right? Let me just bring my MDN once again. It will be enclosing lexical context. What do you mean by lexical context? Lexical context means, you know what is lexical? Lexical means how it is written in the code, right? Where this object is lexically present inside your code. Lexically present means how it is written inside the code. So where it is present? It is present in global space, isn't it? Is it present in global space or not? Yes. So this keyword will not behave like it is inside a function, but it will behave like this is present in the global space. Got it? So if you will save this and refresh, the value will be window object once again, right? The value will be window object once again. Got it? It will take the value of global object because this is now inside a global space. Got it? Not inside a global space. It is not inside a global space, but it is enclosed in that lexical context. The lexical context is that global. So that is why the value of this becomes window object, right? It is exactly like it will behave. See, it will behave if you would have written console log without this object, right? Not inside a method, outside, right? It behaves like this. It does not happen. It just behaves like this. Okay. So if I have to recap it, inside arrow functions, right? Note down these keywords, right? You should understand this keyword. It behaves like enclosing lexical context. Understand these three keywords, right? Very, very important. Nobody will teach. A lot of teachers don't teach you all this because it is very confusing to teach, right? And most of the teachers don't know themselves, right? They just tell you the basic examples of this keyword, right? How it, nobody will go into this detail to tell you what is lexical context and all. That is why my videos get a little longer. I don't know you like it or not. I will see the analytics of this video whether you are watching till the end or not, right? Because whenever I try to explain tough topics, people tend to leave the videos. That video does not get views. That video does not get likes. I don't know. Sometimes I feel I should also teach in a very small 5 minutes video of this keyword, explaining the basics. But then I feel that, okay, I should dive deep and teach you, right? And explain you each and every complex word also. But I don't know, just comment down and also tell me whether you like such videos or should I cover it in small brief or should I dive deep. Also tell me in comments, please, right? It will help me in making future videos. So this is the input I need from you. Okay, so this is what it is. Now I just wanted to tell you what is lexical context. That is why I told you that it depends on where it is. Now, let me give you a tricky example, okay? And then I will ask you the same question. Suppose, this is one example. Now, let me just copy this object and let me make another example. So, suppose this is obj2. And now, suppose this arrow function is not here, but suppose if this is a function, right? If you will understand this, right, then you will understand everything. Okay, so if there is an arrow function over here, let's call this function as fn, okay, or maybe y. Let's call this as y because this is x, so let us call this as y. So now, and let me call this function over here y. So now what I have done is, now this arrow function is not a method of this object, right? This arrow function is not a method of this object. But this arrow function is enclosed, is inside another function, which is a method of this object. Okay. Now this arrow function is this right? And now I will do obj2.x. What will be printed? Tell me. What will be the value of this? What will be the value of this? If I save it, the value will be this object, this obj2, right? If you will see a is equals to 20, so it will print this object. See this object. What is this object? This object is obj2. How? Why the value is this? Pause the video over here and try to think what we have done over here, right? And then try to read this definition also, right? What is the lexical context? See, whenever you see an arrow function, the value of this keyword will be where this arrow function is lexically enclosed. Remember this keyword enclosed, right? What is the enclosing lexical context? What is the enclosing lexical context for over here? The enclosing lexical context is this function, right? The enclosing lexical context is then this function. So how will, just think like this, right? Suppose, I have seen a lot of interviewers ask you output questions, right? Output questions you would have seen, right? This can be one output question and you will pull your hairs because you won't understand, right? So how will this keyword behave? This keyword will exactly behave as if they were inside the enclosed lexical context. Something like this, right? This arrow function will behave as if the arrow function was not there, right? Suppose if this arrow function was not there and the console log was here, it will behave like this. Okay, so this keyword will behave exactly like how it would behave inside the enclosing lexical context. My throat is aching, and it is tough for me also to explain all this. But once you will understand this, you will not forget it, and it will be very easy for you. All your output questions comes from here. And then people say they hate JavaScript because it's very complex. Yes, I know that this keyword is a little tricky, but then if you understand it properly, you will never fail in output questions, right? This console.log will work behaviorally as if the arrow function was not here, right? So it will work behaviorally. So over here, the value of this will not be anything. It will be this obj2. Okay? Because there is no this keyword for this arrow function, right? Arrow function does not have this binding. Got it? So you will have to remember this statement, right? Arrow functions don't provide their own this binding, right? Arrow functions don't provide their own this binding. It retains the value of this, right? It retains this value of enclosing lexical context, right? And a tricky concept, and the MDN document, just write one line and done, right? One line explains this whole tricky concept, right? So I love MDN documentation though. I love to read everything and try to dive deep into JavaScript. When you will read each of it and try to find out meaning of each word over here, you will learn a lot. So deep knowledge. JavaScript is amazing. I just love JavaScript, right? It has so many things. You just have to understand how it is working behind the scenes and you will never mess up with JavaScript. JavaScript is the most beautiful language. You will fall in love with JavaScript, right? This is how beautiful language it is. I have, to be very honest, friends, I have explored so many languages. I know Ruby on Rails. I know Perl. I have worked on so many. Java. I have worked on Python. I have worked on C++, we did in college. I have worked on so many Golang, right? I have worked on Golang also. So many languages. And then today, if you ask me, the best language I would say is JavaScript. I just love it, right? It's very beautiful. JavaScript runs in so many places because it's such a beautiful language. I can't even explain, right? It's so beautiful. That is why I bought Namaste JavaScript. And I wanted to spread all this deep knowledge with you all, right? If you're liking my videos in Namaste JavaScript series, then please keep liking the videos. Please comment down how you are liking it. When you give me feedback, this is the way you give feedback, right? If you give me a like, if you give me comments, then I understand that, okay, you are liking those videos. If I get less likes, then I feel that that video is not good, right? Please, 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 if you like this in-depth concept, please, please give me a like. Just a request for you, please share it, right? I see a lot of people, nobody shares my video, right? Please share it on social media. It takes a lot of time to make all these videos, right? I understand how this works, but if I have to explain you how this works, it is a tough job as a teacher to explain these tricky concepts. So for my efforts, please like this video, please share it with your friends. On social media, you can share it. It just gives me a little happiness that, okay, I am making something, it is spreading in the world, and then some people are liking it, right? That is all I need. Please, right? This is what is a request from my side. Okay, let me not push you more, but let's move on to another concept, right? So understand this. If I have to recap once again, arrow function, you will have to understand two words: enclosing lexical context. You will have to find out what is the enclosing lexical context here. What is the enclosing lexical context of this arrow function? It is this function. So find out how this keyword will behave inside this enclosing lexical context. How this keyword will behave inside this function? This keyword will represent to this object. Very easy, isn't it? So this is how you will have to understand, right? Enclosing lexical context. And trust me, if the interviewer asks you about this keyword and you put all these keywords in front of the interviewer, I dare that the interviewer will not be able to reject you, dude, right? I have seen so many JavaScript developers, they don't understand this, right? Ever I have asked this keyword question to anyone, nobody was able to answer. I have not seen any developer being able to answer in depth. They just have superficial knowledge about this keyword, but this is the in-depth knowledge you should have. Okay, so now let us just see how this keyword behaves inside DOM, right? This keyword, you cannot just write this keyword over here. You can write this keyword in your DOM also, right? In your HTML, right? Can we write it? Let us just go and try to write it. Suppose if this is Namaste JavaScript written over here, h1 tag, can I write it? Yes. Let me write it on a button click, isn't it? Let us try to write it on a button click. How do you put a click handler inside a button? First of all, let me make it a button. Click me. Okay, let's call this as click me. Now over here in this button, let me write a on click handler. This is how you give it. Now what do you do? If on click, what do I do? Right? Just do a alert. Okay, let's do a alert. And in this alert, let us just print the value of this. Got it? Let us just print the value of this. What do you think will be the value of this over here? Right? If I save this, so I have got my button. What happens if I will click on this button? What will happen if I click on this button? It will give me an alert and it will print the value of this. What will be the value of this? Right? So let me just check. If I click on this, it says object HTML button element. So basically, this button element itself, right? This button element, right, in itself is the value of this, right? So what I'm trying to say, if you try to find out what is this, the value of this keyword, when you write like this, it will be this HTML button element. Got it? HTML button element. You can reference that this will be the reference to this HTML button element. So if the interviewer might ask you, what is this inside DOM elements, right? DOM elements, you can say the value is reference to HTML element. Okay? Reference to the HTML element. Now you can, this is very important. A lot of times we do this, and you can also see, I'll tell you, right? You can also do something like tag name, right? You can have more functions onto this, right? I think this should work. I don't know if this works or not, but let me check. If I do a this.tag name and save it, let me just refresh my page and click again. See this, it gave you button, right? So you can you can do a lot of things with this keyword, because this over here represent to this button. You can do a lot of crazy things by using this keyword. It gives you the reference to this button. Got it? So many tricky cases about how this keyword works, and you have to understand all of this. Hope you are taking notes. Now, this keyword behaves differently inside class also, right? Inside JavaScript classes, constructors. But my dear friends, in Namaste JavaScript, I have not covered object-oriented programming. I have not covered classes. I have not covered constructors. So, I don't want to cover that in this video, right? I have right now only covered functional programming, how functions work and everything about functions. So it will be tough for me to explain you, right, without teaching you class and constructor and how they behave and all that stuff. So I am skipping this, right? I am not covering this right now. But if you will ask me, whatever I have taught you in this video is more than enough. Even if you remember 50% of this, even 40% of this, you will be able to clear your interviews. You will be very good at it. But try to cover 100% of this video, and this is enough for your interviews, right? If you are going for interviews, if you are doing your daily coding, it is enough. If you are doing, because generally we don't write classes in JavaScript, so you can skip that portion, right? How this behaves inside classes, in constructor. But I want to tell you explicitly that this keyword has a different meaning inside classes and constructors also, right? See, I am a teacher. I want to give you everything I know. This is what I knew, right? And I am telling you all this. I have also told you a lot more things in depth. Hope you would have liked it. Let me just quickly recap the video, recap everything what we learned in this video. Once again, very quickly. Are you with me? And then we will end the video, because I think this has been a knowledge heavy session. Okay, let us just quickly recap everything. First thing is how this behaves in global space. Okay, keep answering. Let me repeat it once again. Listen to me very carefully with 100% attention, because I will go very fast. How this behaves in global space? That this keyword in global space referred to global object. That global object in browser is Windows, and in the global object in Node.js can be different, and it can be different in the JavaScript runtime. Got it? Now, how this behaves inside a function? The value of this inside a function depends on strict and non-strict mode. Inside a strict mode, the value of this is undefined. Got it? The value of this is undefined. So over here, the value of this is undefined. But what if you have a non-strict mode? If you go into a non-strict mode, then the value of this is window, right? So why this happened? Why the value became window? Because of this substitution. Because of this substitution. What is this substitution? When it happens? This substitution happens in non-strict mode. What is this substitution? This substitution means that whenever the value of this keyword is undefined or null, then it becomes the global object. The global object here was window, so it became window. In Node.js or any other runtime, it can be different. Now you have to understand one more important thing. This keyword value depends on how the function is called, right? Very important, how the function is called. If you will call the function like this, then it will return undefined. If you will call it using this object, window.x, then it will be window, right? Then it will be window. Okay, so this is what it is. Now what you can do, how this behave inside objects method. So suppose if we have an object student and we have a method print name. So the value of this keyword will be this object. The value of this keyword over here is, value of this keyword is object, right? Object. This keyword over here represents the object. If you do a student.println, it will print you Akshay. Got it? Because this dot name is Akshay. Now, suppose, now comes another thing. There are 3 methods: call, apply, bind. You have to go watch the video and also comment down below, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you have watched the video or not, I will check everyone. Please, I will check how many comments I get. People who have watched that call, apply, bind video. Okay, go watch that. But if you want to share these functions, you can share it using student print name call, and over here you will pass the value what the this should be. If you will write see, first of all, why did I write student.println? Because this print name method was on student object. So I will always write student.println, right? Student.println, student. So this basically, you know what this line means? Student.println means I am referring to student.println, this function, and I am calling this function with whatever you will pass over here will become the value of this keyword. Got it? The whatever you will pass over here will become the value of this keyword. Okay, so call it like this. Now you will also have to study what is apply and bind and what is the difference between them. Very important interview questions. Now when this is covered, last thing is inside arrow functions. Inside arrow function you have to remember this thing, enclosing lexical context. Whenever you see an arrow function, you have to find what is the enclosing lexical context. So if you will see the enclosing lexical context is the global space over here. So the value of this will be global object. Whatever the global object is, in browser, in case of browser, we have window, the value will be window over here. Now, suppose this was a tricky example. Lot of output questions come like this. Okay, lot of output questions. So over here, I have made a nested method, right? It is nested. So basically it is an arrow function inside another function. So the value of this keyword inside this arrow function will be depend on enclosing lexical context. Enclosing lexical context is this function. So the value of this keyword will be obj2. So this was it. Then the last thing that we studied was how they behave in DOM elements. So in DOM elements, it will refer to that particular HTML DOM element. This keyword will refer to this particular DOM element. And if you will do a alert, we have seen that it becomes this button. Cool. So this was it, my dear friends, in this keyword. So now please watch this video once again. If you did not understand it, learn it, because it is very tricky, very important, and this is good enough for preparing for interviews. Please, please, please like this video right now. Please like this video if you have really liked the concept, whatever I have taught. If you would have enjoyed the video, please share it. Please, please, please share it on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram stories, on wherever you wish to. Please share this video. It will help me motivate to make more video. It motivates me a lot. It encourages me a lot to make these videos. And thank you so much for watching. I would be looking at your comments. Please comment down if you would have understood it properly. Try to write in your own words the definition of this and how would you explain you to the interviewer right now in the comments. Please, please do that. This exercise is very important. You have to write down in the comments how will you explain what is the value of this. Please take down notes in the comments and please do it for yourself, and I will like the best comments. I will give it a small heart. And that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.